The Silent Titan. In the uncharted edges of the Cygnus sector, a Dominion scout ship named Veilbreaker drifted through the void. Captain Eller, an alien of sharp intellect and sharp features, had seen countless anomalies during his tenure, but something about this mission gnawed at him. The Dominion prided itself on knowing every corner of the galaxy, and yet the signal they were following was unlike anything the sensors had encountered before, a faint but oddly rhythmic signature, pulsing like a distant heartbeat. The Veilbreaker's crew was on edge. The Dominion's dominance across the galaxy made them fear nothing, yet the unknown had its own way of unsettling even the most seasoned officers. The signal led them to a dark corner of space, where starlight was swallowed by a dense nebula. As the ship emerged from the haze, the crew fell silent. Before them floated a behemoth, a vessel of proportions so vast it dwarfed even the Dominion's largest dreadnoughts. "What is that?" whispered Lieutenant Reinl, breaking the heavy silence. The ship was unlike anything they had ever seen. Its design was crude yet purposeful, with massive armor plates that glimmered faintly under the light of a distant star. Thick, angular lines ran the length of its hull, giving it the appearance of a fortress carved from a solid block of metal. It was ancient and industrial, a stark contrast to the sleek and elegant designs of Dominion ships. Eller's first thought was that it was a relic, some forgotten artifact from a bygone era. But the longer he looked, the more uneasy he became. The ship wasn't derelict. Its hull bore no signs of decay or neglect. It floated with an air of quiet power, as though it were waiting for something or someone. "Run a full scan," Eller ordered, his voice steady despite the growing knot in his chest. The Veilbreaker's sensors sprang to life, bathing the mysterious vessel in invisible waves of energy. The results were baffling. The ship's energy readings were erratic, fluctuating between near dormancy and surges of power that rivaled the Dominion's most advanced reactors. Its hull was composed of an alloy that defied classification, a blend of metals both common and entirely unknown. But what truly unsettled Eller was the weaponry. "Sir," Reinl said, his voice trembling slightly, "the ship's armaments. They're operational." Eller's stomach sank. The weapon systems weren't just active. They were advanced, far beyond anything the Dominion had encountered. Energy cannons capable of firing at interstellar ranges, missile silos loaded with warheads whose signatures suggested unprecedented destructive power. And something else, hidden deep within the ship's core, a power source that defied explanation. Who could have built this? Eller muttered to himself. His answer came moments later when a faded emblem on the ship's hull became visible, a blue and white globe surrounded by a wreath of stars. "Humans," Reinl said, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's human." Eller's brow furrowed. Humans were a minor species, barely a footnote in the Dominion's vast archives. They had emerged from a single backwater planet, Earth, and were known for their primitive technology and reckless curiosity. The Dominion had dismissed them centuries ago as inconsequential. How could they have built this? The Veilbreaker's comms crackled suddenly, cutting through the heavy tension. A voice, calm and steady, echoed through the bridge. It spoke in perfect Dominion standard, but its accent was undeniably human. "Unidentified vessel, you are trespassing in restricted space. State your purpose." Eller froze. Eller's heart pounded. He had faced many threats in his career, but this was different. The humans had been underestimated, dismissed as irrelevant. Now, they stood before the Dominion, their technology far more advanced than anyone could have imagined. "Captain," Reinl said urgently, "their weapons are locking onto us." Eller made his decision. "Retreat," he ordered. "We need to report this." As the Veilbreaker turned away, the Titan's resolve remained motionless, its massive silhouette a silent warning. The humans had revealed their hand, and it was far stronger than the Dominion had ever anticipated. For the first time in centuries, Eller felt a twinge of fear. The galaxy's balance of power had shifted, and the Dominion's days of unchallenged supremacy were numbered. Little did they know, this encounter was only the beginning. The Titan's resolve was not just a ship, it was a declaration. The humans were no longer content to be forgotten. They were ready to take their place among the stars, and nothing would stand in their way. The rise of the Terran legacy. The Dominion Council chamber buzzed with anxious whispers. The report from Captain Eller had been delivered in record time, accompanied by holographic visuals of the colossal vessel. The Titan's resolve loomed in the projections, its jagged, utilitarian design a stark contrast to the sleek elegance of Dominion ships. It was an anomaly, a challenge to their understanding of the galaxy and their dominance within it. Chancellor Viric, a towering figure with an imposing demeanor, silenced the murmurs with a wave of his hand. "Humans," he scoffed, his voice dripping with disbelief. "A species we've ignored for centuries now claims sovereignty over space they do not own." A laughable charade. Yet not all shared his confidence. Among the council was Admiral Lissar, a strategist known for her caution and insight. She leaned forward, her sharp eyes studying the projection. Laughable, perhaps, but dismissing this outright would be a grave error. The technology displayed by this vessel is beyond what we understand. How did they build such a ship without us knowing? Viric waved her off. Their technological leap is irrelevant. They are still but one species, isolated and insignificant. We will assemble a fleet, crush their arrogance, and claim their secrets for the Dominion. Lissar said nothing, but unease churned within her. The humans had hidden their capabilities for centuries, and now they had revealed themselves with the audacity to confront the Dominion. This was no accident. It was a calculated move. The gathering of forces. In a forgotten corner of space, far from prying eyes, humanity had been preparing for this moment for generations. Earth's history had been one of struggle, wars, disasters, and endless challenges. Yet from these trials, humanity had honed its resilience, creativity, and adaptability. While the galaxy saw them as primitive, they had turned their obscurity into an advantage. The Titan's resolve was the crown jewel of the Terran Defense Initiative, a secretive program born in the aftermath of humanity's first encounter with the Dominion centuries ago. That initial contact had been brief but scaring, a stark reminder of humanity's vulnerability. The Dominion had dismissed Earth as inconsequential, but humanity had not forgotten. Beneath the surface of the Moon and deep within the asteroid belt, Terran engineers and scientists worked tirelessly, hidden from the galaxy's watchful eyes. They reverse-engineered alien technology, blending it with their own innovations. The result was a fusion of functionality and power, machines that looked crude but were devastatingly effective. The Titan's resolve was more than a warship. It was a symbol of human ingenuity and defiance. At its heart was the Omega reactor, an energy source so potent it could sustain a fleet. Surrounding it were layers of experimental armor, capable of withstanding direct hits from Dominion weapons. Its arsenal included kinetic railguns, energy lances, and fusion missiles, each designed to exploit weaknesses in alien defenses. In the command center of the Titan's resolve, Admiral Amina Carter stood with her hands clasped behind her back. A veteran of Earth's hidden wars and the architect of the Terran Defense Initiative, she was as unyielding as the ship she commanded. Before her, the holographic display showed the retreating Dominion scout ship. "They'll be back," Carter said, her voice calm but firm. "And they'll bring the full weight of their empire." Around her, officers and strategists nodded. They had anticipated this moment, prepared for it. The Titan's resolve wasn't alone. Hidden across Terran space were fleets of warships, each designed to complement the supercarrier's strength. Humanity's plan wasn't just to defend. It was to reveal itself as a force to be reckoned with. The Dominion's response. True to Carter's prediction, the Dominion wasted no time assembling a fleet. Hundreds of warships gathered in formation, their hulls gleaming under the light of distant stars. At the center of the fleet was the Conqueror, a Dominion dreadnought that symbolized their military supremacy. Its captain, Lord Commander Jamar was a staunch believer in the Dominion's invincibility. "This is not a war," Jamar declared to his crew as the fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace. "This is an extermination. The humans dare to challenge us. We will crush their defiance and erase their existence from the stars." The fleet surged forward. A tide of overwhelming force aimed directly at the coordinates provided by the Veilbreaker. Yet, as they traveled, whispers spread among the crew. The footage of the Titan's resolve had shaken them. A ship that size, with such advanced weaponry, defied their understanding of the galaxy. Some questioned whether the Dominion's arrogance had blinded them. Jamar dismissed these doubts as treasonous. To him, the humans were an upstart species, and their defiance was an insult to the Dominion's authority. He saw the battle ahead not as a challenge, but as an opportunity to reaffirm their supremacy. The first strike. The Dominion fleet exited hyperspace on the edges of Terran space, their sensors immediately locking onto the Titan's resolve. It remained stationary, a lone sentinel against the backdrop of the void. Jamar smirked. One ship against hundreds. This will be over in moments. But as the Dominion fleet advanced, the Titan's resolve sprang to life. Its energy shields flared, absorbing the first wave of fire from the Dominion ships. Then, with a roar that reverberated through the void, its railguns opened fire. Slugs of hyper-dense metal streaked across space, tearing through Dominion ships as though their shields were paper. Chaos erupted as the Titan's resolve unleashed its arsenal. Fusion missiles detonated in blinding explosions, and energy lances carved through the Dominion's formations. Despite being outnumbered, the Titan's resolve fought with precision and overwhelming firepower. On the bridge of the Conqueror, Jamar's confidence wavered. "How are they doing this?" he growled, watching as his fleet struggled to adapt. The humans fought with a level of coordination and ferocity that defied expectations. Every move they made was calculated, exploiting the Dominion's weaknesses. The turning point. As the battle raged, more Terran ships emerged from hidden positions. Destroyers, frigates, and cruisers joined the fight, each one wielding weapons tailored to counter the Dominion's strengths. The humans had prepared for this, studied their enemy, and turned the Dominion's overconfidence into a weapon. Admiral Carter stood unshaken on the bridge of the Titan's resolve. "Send the message," she ordered. Her communications officer nodded, transmitting a signal across the battlefield. "This is Admiral Amina Carter of the Terran Defense Initiative," her voice rang out. "Your arrogance has blinded you to the truth. Humanity is no longer the forgotten child of the stars. Withdraw now, or face annihilation." The message sent shockwaves through the Dominion fleet. For the first time in centuries, they were not the hunters. They were the hunted. Jamar clenched his fists, his pride warring with the reality unfolding before him. The battle wasn't just about territory or technology. It was about proving humanity's place among the stars. And the Terrans were determined to show the galaxy what they were capable of. Humanity's hidden arsenal. The wreckage of Dominion warships littered the expanse of space, floating like ghosts in the void. The Dominion fleet's once pristine formation was now a scattered, desperate mess. The Titan's resolve had held its ground, its shields shimmering as they absorbed yet another barrage. Surrounding it, the newly arrived Terran fleet moved with ruthless efficiency, tearing through the Dominion's ranks like a well-honed blade. In the command center of the Titan's resolve, Admiral Amina Carter remained calm, her gaze fixed on the battle unfolding on the holographic display. "Status report," she ordered. "Shields holding at 78%, replied Lieutenant Grayson, her tactical officer. "Minimal damage to external armor. Enemy forces have been reduced by 41%. Carter nodded, her composure unshaken. "And the rest of the fleet?" Grayson's fingers danced over the console. "Terran vessels are operating at full capacity. Coordinated strikes have destabilized enemy formations. Dominion forces are beginning to retreat." Carter allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Humanity's centuries of preparation were paying off. The Dominion had underestimated them, but the battle wasn't over. Not yet. The hidden network. Unbeknownst to the Dominion, the Titan's resolve was only one part of humanity's long-hidden strategy. While the Dominion had spent centuries expanding its empire, Earth had focused on survival. Their early encounters with advanced alien species had taught them a crucial lesson. Survival required ingenuity, secrecy, and adaptability. For generations, humanity had worked in the shadows, building not just ships, but an entire hidden infrastructure. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, in the asteroid belt, and within the cold reaches of Jupiter's moons, humanity had constructed facilities and bases cloaked from the galaxy's prying eyes. Each location was a fortress of research, engineering, and production, capable of supplying fleets like the one now tearing through the Dominion's ranks. One such base, Erebus Station, was the nerve center of this hidden network. Located on the dark side of a rogue planet drifting through the void, Erebus Station was undetectable by conventional scans. Inside, teams of scientists and engineers worked tirelessly, analyzing data from the battle. "Admiral Carter is exceeding projections," said Dr. Elena Voss, the head of the station's research division. She stood before a massive screen displaying real-time feeds of the battle. "The Dominion is struggling to adapt to our tactics." General Marcus Holt, commander of Erebus's military division, crossed his arms, his expression grim. "They won't retreat for long. The Dominion doesn't take defeat lightly. They'll regroup and come back stronger." Dr. Voss nodded. "Which is why we need to stay ahead. Have you authorized deployment of the Aegis Protocol?" Holt hesitated. The Aegis Protocol was humanity's most ambitious defense project, a network of automated drones and platforms capable of forming an impenetrable shield around Terran space. "Not yet. Let's see how Carter handles this phase. If she needs support, we'll activate it." The Dominion's desperation. Aboard the Conqueror, Lord Commander Jamar paced furiously. The battle was spiraling out of control, and the Dominion's forces were crumbling under the weight of humanity's relentless assault. His pride had kept him in the fight longer than he should have, but even he couldn't ignore the losses. "Commander, we must retreat," shouted his tactical officer. "Our formations are broken, and reinforcements are hours away." Jamar slammed his fist against the console. "Retreat. Against primitives." He gestured at the carnage on the screen. "We are the Dominion. We do not flee from upstarts." The officer hesitated but stood firm. "Sir, this is no longer a battle. It's a slaughter. If we don't fall back, we'll lose everything." Jamar's jaw tightened. He hated the thought of retreating. But the officer was right. The Dominion had never faced a threat like this. Reluctantly, he gave the order. "Signal all ships. Fall back to the nearest staging point. We'll regroup and crush these insects once and for all." As the Conqueror turned away from the battle, Jamar's mind burned with rage and humiliation. He would return with reinforcements, and when he did, there would be no mercy. The message. As the last Dominion ships vanished into hyperspace, cheers erupted aboard the Titan's Resolve and throughout the Terran fleet. Humanity had not only survived, they had triumphed. But Admiral Carter's focus remained razor-sharp. She knew this victory was only the beginning. "Prepare the comms array," Carter ordered. "I have a message to send." Within moments, her voice echoed across Terran space and beyond, transmitted to every Dominion relay within range. "To the Dominion Council," she began, her tone calm but resolute. "You believed humanity to be insignificant, a relic of a forgotten world. Today, we proved otherwise. We are no longer hidden, no longer isolated. We are Terrans, and we will defend our place among the stars." She paused, her gaze hardening. "You came into our space, seeking to destroy us. We gave you the chance to retreat, and you ignored it. Now you know our strength. Let this be your warning. If you come again, you will not leave." The message ended, but its implications reverberated across the galaxy. The Dominion Council received it within minutes, their faces pale with shock and anger. Chancellor Viric slammed his fist on the table. How dare they threaten us? Admiral Lissar, who had advocated caution, spoke quietly. They're not threatening us. They're promising us a fight, and they're ready for it. A new dawn. On Earth, billions of humans watched the broadcast of their fleet's victory with awe and pride. For centuries, they had been told that humanity's best days were behind them, that they were doomed to remain insignificant in the grand tapestry of the galaxy. But now, they saw the truth. Humanity had risen, stronger and more united than ever. In the United Terran Command Headquarters, President Elena Ward addressed the leaders of Earth and its colonies. Today, we showed the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated. But this is only the beginning. The Dominion will return, and we must be ready. Together, we will defend our home and our future. Cheers erupted in the chamber, but beneath the celebration lay a steely determination. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for too long. Now, they would see what humanity was truly capable of. As the Titan's resolve and its fleet returned to their hidden bases, a sense of purpose united the Terran people. They were no longer just survivors. They were contenders, ready to carve their place in the stars. And they would let nothing stand in their way. The Dominion's reckoning. The Dominion Council was in chaos. The audacity of humanity's broadcast, sent in clear defiance of the Dominion's supremacy, had ignited a firestorm of debate. Chancellor Virik stood at the center of the chamber, his voice booming with rage. "We cannot allow this insult to go unanswered," he roared, his fists clenched. "These upstarts dare to challenge our authority, to declare their sovereignty in space that belongs to us." Admiral Lissar, ever the voice of reason, rose from her seat. "With respect, Chancellor, humanity has proven they are no longer the insignificant species we believe them to be. Charging into another battle unprepared will only compound our humiliation." Virik glared at her, but she pressed on. "Their technology rivals our own. Their tactics are adaptive, their resolve unshakable. If we are to defeat them, we must approach this as more than just a display of force. We need strategy, intelligence, and an understanding of who they've become." The council fell silent, each member grappling with the implications. Virik finally relented, though his expression remained one of contempt. "Very well, Admiral. You will lead the response. But mark my words, there will be no mercy." The gathering storm. Far from the politicking of the Dominion, humanity prepared for the inevitable retaliation. On the Titan's resolve, Admiral Amina Carter stood before her officers, the faint hum of the ship's systems a constant reminder of its readiness. "They'll come back," Carter said, her voice calm but firm. "The Dominion's pride won't allow them to leave us be. But this time, they won't face just the Titan's resolve. They'll face the full might of humanity." Around the holographic table, officers nodded. Representing Earth and its colonies, each had a role to play in the coming conflict. Rear Admiral Vasquez, commanding the Terran cruiser fleet, spoke up. "We've activated the Aegis Protocol, Admiral. Our defense network is operational across key sectors. If they try to bypass us, they'll face a wall of drones and platforms." Dr. Elena Voss, patched in from Erebus Station, added, "We've completed the upgrades to our weapon systems. The Titan's resolve now carries plasma disruptors capable of piercing even the Dominion's heaviest shields, and our new stealth corvettes are ready to infiltrate enemy lines." Carter nodded. Humanity's strategy was simple but bold. They wouldn't wait to be cornered. They would strike first, leveraging their hidden strength to force the Dominion onto the defensive. The Dominion's return. Admiral Lissar stood aboard the Aegon's Wrath, a massive Dominion warship bristling with advanced weaponry. Her fleet, numbering over 1,000 ships, was the largest the Dominion had ever assembled. Yet she felt no triumph. The humans had forced the Dominion into this position, a desperate attempt to reclaim dominance. "Admiral," her second-in-command reported, "we've reached the Terran perimeter. No signs of their fleet yet." Lissar nodded. "They'll be watching us. They're too strategic to engage without an advantage. Deploy reconnaissance drones and prepare the fleet for a counterattack. As the Dominion ships advanced, they encountered the first line of Terran defenses. The Aegis network, automated platforms, bristling with railguns and missile batteries, sprang to life, tearing through the Dominion's forward ships with mechanical precision. Impressive, Lissar murmured as her fleet adjusted. But defenses alone won't stop us. She ordered her fleet to concentrate fire, breaking through the Aegis line with sheer force. Dominion ships surged forward, but Lissar couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The humans had anticipated this, so where were they? The ambush. In the shadow of a nearby gas giant, the Terran fleet lay in wait. Carter stood on the bridge of the Titan's Resolve, her expression focused. "Hold position," she ordered, watching as the Dominion fleet pressed deeper into Terran space. Vasquez, commanding the cruiser division, grinned. "They're overextending, just like we planned." Carter gave the signal. "Execute the maneuver." The Terran fleet burst into action, emerging from the gas giant's shadow with calculated precision. Stealth corvettes targeted the Dominion's rear lines, disrupting communications and sowing chaos. Heavy cruisers unleashed devastating broadsides, while the Titan's Resolve moved into position at the heart of the battle. The Dominion fleet scrambled to respond, but the humans were relentless. Their tactics were unconventional, their formations unpredictable. For every Dominion counter, the Terrans had a countermeasure, exploiting weaknesses the Dominion hadn't even realized they had. Lissar watched the chaos unfold, her respect for humanity growing even as the battle turned against her. "They've been studying us," she realized aloud. "Every maneuver, every tactic. We've been predictable." She ordered her fleet to regroup, but the humans didn't give them the chance. The Titan's Resolve charged into the fray, its weapons carving through Dominion ships with ruthless efficiency. The turning tide. As the battle raged, it became clear that this was no mere skirmish. It was a turning point. Humanity wasn't just fighting to survive. They were fighting to redefine their place in the galaxy. Carter's voice carried across the comms. "This is the moment we've been preparing for. Show them what humanity is capable of." Terran ships fought with a ferocity and a coordination that left the Dominion stunned. The Aegis network's drones harried retreating ships, while stealth corvettes executed surgical strikes on key targets. The Dominion's numerical superiority was meaningless against humanity's strategy. Admiral Lissar, realizing the battle was lost, made a fateful decision. "Order the retreat," she commanded. "We'll regroup and—" Her words were cut off as a Terran railgun slug ripped through the Aegon's Wrath, sending the massive warship into a spiral. Lissar's escape pod launched moments before the ship exploded, her heart heavy with defeat. A message to the galaxy. As the last Dominion ships fled, humanity stood victorious. The Titan's Resolve and its fleet returned to the Aegis perimeter, their banners raised high. On Earth, billions watched the broadcast of their triumph. President Elena Ward addressed the galaxy, her voice resolute. "Humanity has risen. We are no longer a footnote in galactic history. We are the authors of our own destiny. To any who would challenge us, know this: we will defend our people, our home, and our future." The message sent ripples across the galaxy. Species long oppressed by the Dominion saw a glimmer of hope, while the Dominion itself grappled with its first true defeat. But for humanity, this was only the beginning. They had revealed themselves to the galaxy, not as prey, but as equals. And in the battles to come, they would prove that the stars belonged to all who dared to reach for them. The shadows of retribution. The Dominion Council convened in the shadow of defeat, their grand chamber filled with a tension that was almost palpable. The once unshakable arrogance of the Dominion's leaders had been replaced by unease and indignation. The humans, primitive, insignificant humans, had inflicted a wound on their empire that refused to heal. Chancellor Viric stood at the head of the chamber, his fists clenched and his voice like thunder. "Twice now, these humans have defied us. Twice they have humiliated us before the galaxy. This is no longer a skirmish, it is war. Admiral Lissar, seated on the opposite side of the room, bore the weight of their failure. Her voice was measured, but there was steel behind her words. And charging in blindly will only lead to further humiliation. We underestimated them before. We cannot afford to make the same mistake. Varric's eyes narrowed. Are you suggesting we allow them to continue defying us? I am suggesting we understand them, Lissar replied. Their strength does not come from numbers or brute force. It comes from their unpredictability, their creativity. If we hope to win, we must fight on terms they do not control. There was a murmur of agreement from some council members, but Varric remained unconvinced. Enough talk. We will launch a campaign to eradicate these upstarts. Let them see the full might of the Dominion. The silent threat. In the dark recesses of Dominion space, preparations for retaliation began. Factories churned out warships at an unprecedented rate, their assembly lines working day and night. Scientists were tasked with analyzing every scrap of data from the recent battles, seeking weaknesses in Terran technology. At the heart of this effort was the Shadow Directive, a covert initiative born from desperation. Led by Commander Sarn, a master of subterfuge, the directive aimed to exploit humanity's greatest strength, its creativity, against itself. We won't win this war with brute force alone, Sarn said to his team, his voice calm but cold. The humans thrive in open battle, but in the shadows, they are vulnerable. The directive's first mission was to infiltrate Terran space and plant seeds of discord. Using advanced cloaking technology, Dominion operatives slipped past the Aegis network, their ships invisible to even the most sophisticated Terran sensors. Their target was Erebus Station, the nerve center of humanity's hidden infrastructure. Sarn's plan was simple: disrupt humanity's ability to coordinate and supply their fleet. But the humans were not as unaware as he believed. The defense of Erebus. Deep within Erebus Station, Dr. Elena Voss stood at the central control hub, her eyes scanning streams of data. The station had been operating at peak capacity since the first Dominion attack, its engineers and scientists pushing the limits of human ingenuity. Yet something felt off. Dr. Voss, a technician, called out, "We're detecting faint anomalies near the station's perimeter. Could be sensor glitches." Voss frowned. "Run a deep scan. If it's the Dominion, we can't afford to dismiss it." The technician nodded, but before the scan could complete, alarms blared throughout the station. Cloaked ships materialized from the void, their weapons already firing. Dominion operatives deployed with surgical precision, targeting power relays and communication arrays. "Activate the station's defenses," Voss ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos, "and send an emergency signal to the Titan's resolve." Erebus Station's automated turrets sprang to life, firing at the invaders with deadly accuracy. The station itself, a fortress disguised as a research facility, began to fight back. But the Dominion's operatives were well prepared, and for every turret they disabled, they gained another foothold. A timely arrival. In the midst of the attack, the Titan's resolve received Erebus's distress call. Admiral Amina Carter wasted no time. Set course for Erebus. Full speed. The Terran fleet surged into action, their engines blazing as they raced to defend their lifeline. Carter knew the stakes. Erebus wasn't just a station, it was humanity's secret weapon. If it fell, their entire war effort would crumble. When the Titan's resolve arrived, the battle was already raging. Dominion ships circled the station like vultures, their weapons pounding its shields. Terran defenders fought valiantly, but the Dominion's covert tactics were taking a toll. "Engage the enemy," Carter ordered, her voice a rallying cry. "Show them what it means to fight humanity." The Titan's resolve unleashed its arsenal, obliterating Dominion ships with precise strikes. The Terran fleet followed suit, their coordinated attacks forcing the Dominion into retreat. On the station, Terran security forces pushed back the infiltrators, reclaiming critical systems. Commander Sarn, realizing the mission had failed, ordered a withdrawal. "We'll regroup," he said to his operatives. "This isn't over. A new kind of war." As the last Dominion ships fled, Erebus Station began its recovery. Voss stood amidst the wreckage, her expression determined. "They thought they could cripple us," she said to Carter, who had arrived to oversee the aftermath. "But all they've done is show us how much stronger we need to be." Carter nodded. This was more than an attack. It was a message. The Dominion is changing its strategy. So must we. Humanity's leaders convened to plan their next moves. They knew the Dominion's pride would not allow them to relent, and the war would only escalate. But humanity had its own advantages: resilience, ingenuity, and a determination born of centuries of struggle. President Elena Ward addressed the gathering, her voice filled with resolve. "We face an enemy that seeks to break us in the shadows, but we will not falter. We will adapt, as we always have. This is not just a war for survival, it is a war for our place among the stars." The quiet before the storm. In the aftermath of the Erebus attack, humanity prepared for what was to come. New defenses were implemented, new technologies developed. The Terran fleet grew stronger, its ranks filled with volunteers from across Earth and its colonies. But the Dominion was not idle. In the depths of their empire, plans were laid for a final confrontation, a battle that would determine the fate of both species. As the galaxy held its breath, the war entered a new phase. Humanity had proven its strength, but the Dominion had yet to reveal its full might. And in the vastness of space, both sides prepared for a reckoning that would shape the stars for generations to come.